Right, there we go. Okay, so good to see you. My name's Sarah, if you didn't know me. Scott, definitely seen you before. Right, and today we are starting a new theme, and this is going to run for a couple of months of self-love. So we're going to be working through the body and focusing on different parts of the body and just spending a bit of time on the physiology and our biology and seeing what the body can do for us and really taking the time to appreciate that. And I know there's lots of things that the body doesn't always do for us, and there are times when the body can act against us. But yeah, this is our lunchtime, so we're just going to take a little bit of time to appreciate what the body does do, because we take it all for granted, and it's often when things don't work or break that suddenly you realize just how important it is that it all does work the way that it works. All right, so we'll make a start today grabbing a height, so a pillow or a blanket, something to sit on. Make yourself comfortable, sitting tall, any position you like. Somewhere you can breathe, you can open across the chest, maybe softening the gaze down to the floor or closing the eyes if you prefer. So arriving on your mat, coming to your practice, letting whatever's happened today so far, whatever is going to happen in the afternoon, just letting it go. Bringing yourself here now, focusing on the breath as we inhale, drawing the breath down into the belly, letting it expand the belly, the rib cage, all the way up to the top of the chest, and deflating the lungs, the ribs, the belly, as we exhale. So deepening your natural breath, breathing in and out through the nose. Notice how you feel at the beginning of your practice. Give yourself a little body scan. Check in with your mind, your mental state. Just notice, no judgment. And opening the eyes. We're going to come and sit with our backs against a wall or a surface. So I can sit back against the arm of the sofa if I wanted to. I'm going to sit with my back on my radiator here. And today, self-love. So we're going to look at the feet. I know. What's to love about the feet? But this one's actually quite precious to me because I have injured my feet. I've had a few operations on my feet, and actually I can firmly say I love my feet. And I know that they're sweaty, they're sometimes a bit smelly, but get your socks off today, get ready to touch those feet. So taking your hands onto your feet, bringing the feet flat onto the floor, and just finding maybe a bit more height under the hips. If this isn't comfortable, just find a way where you can get your hands onto your feet and start to massage the feet. So start to have a feel. We don't touch them very often. They're also tickly a lot of the time. That is actually because the feet have some, it's got a huge amount of nerve endings. I think there's like 20,000 nerve endings in the feet. That's why they're always so tickly. And that's to help the feet to learn from whatever surface it's on, whether it's in a shoe or like now, if your feet are flat on the floor, helps it to learn and to adjust and to find that balance that we need through the rest of the body. So tickly feet, they're a great thing. So just massaging the feet, maybe firming up the pressure a little bit, taking it up to the ankle as well, because the feet, the ankle there, we'll go into that in a second. Very closely interlinked. And then we'll pick up one of our feet, so maybe the right foot to begin with. And here's where the wall behind you is quite a good thing. We're going to pick that foot up. Don't worry about drawing it in too much. And we're just going to take our right arm underneath the leg. So it kind of acts as a little platform to hold it. And we'll start with the left hand, grabbing the heel of the right foot. So the foot's got 26 bones in each foot. It's over a quarter of the bones in our body are in our feet. And let's just have a feel for the front of the ankle. So just below the bony aperture of the ankle. That's our talus bone along the front. And then the heel bone itself, if we move to that, this is the talus bone, the calcaneus bone. So this is one single bone, takes a lot of pressure as we strike the ground with the heel. We're going to grab that heel and then we're going to hold the leg steady and just rotate the heel around in one direction. So notice you don't get a lot of movement here. The heel is one single bone. And it's really important actually that it doesn't get that much movement. Keeps the stability of the foot. So maybe going the other way. And connected to our heel bone are our tarsals, other parts of the ankle, which are kind of the cuboid bone is on the outside here. So moving the hand to the outside and below the ankle. So the thumb, the palm of the hand is coming under the foot, the fingers resting on top. Again, we're going to rotate and we're just going to feel the bones in the feet. So we've got the cuneiforms, the cuboid, the calcaneocuboid ligament is the one that I've ruptured in both of my feet. So these bones are really important for the stabilization of the foot laterally. And we're going to bring the hand down. So the fingers are coming just under the toes, again, thumb under the foot. These are the metatarsals, the long bones leading up to our toes. And again, let's rotate the foot one way and then the other. And here's the one you guys are going to love. We get to the phalanges, the toes. We're going to take our hands and thread our fingers between our toes. Now, how often do you do that? We're going to interweave our fingers and our toes. And this can be quite tricky because the toes often, if you don't do this regularly, they're pretty stiff. So don't push it. If you can't get, especially the little toe, if you can't get the finger in between that one, just leave it. It's okay. But see where you can get to. See how much you can thread the fingers through. And then again, rotating the foot one way, switching direction, coming the other, letting that foot go. Other side. So left foot, left arm comes underneath, just something that to hold on to. We're not doing any fancy yoga pose here. And again, we're going to grab that heel bone first. And we're going to start to rotate the foot one way. Try not to move the rest of the foot or the leg. Just notice how stable this bone is, how little movement really you get from this. And that's really important because you get so much movement in the rest of the foot. You need this stability. Moving the hand to come just below the ankle now, feeling for the mid-foot. Again, rotating there, feeling how the bones are perhaps moving against each other, changing direction. Again, leaning back on that wall will help. More height under the hips will also help if you're getting uncomfortable. Moving the hand down, so the fingers coming on top of the foot, underneath the toes, thumb comes under. And again, let's rotate. So the metatarsals coming down towards the toes. And then the other direction. And then finally, let's interweave the fingers between the toes. You might find one foot is easier than the other. This foot's certainly a little easier for me. And it's like when you're painting your toes. Don't know if the men maybe haven't all done this. Maybe they have. That's when you're trying to separate the toes out when you paint your toenails. That's what we're doing here. So it's a bit weird. It's probably all feels a little sweaty, a little gross, but the feet are beautiful. They might be sweaty, but they're wonderful, wonderful things. And it's really hard to do without them. I've discovered that myself. So rotating the other direction. And then releasing there. Good. So maybe just pedaling those feet out. And then we'll come into a toe squat. So we're going to come hands and knees, removing any pillows around you or props. And we're going to tuck the toes underneath. So the hands can start under the shoulders, knees under the hips, knees together, big toes together, and see about drawing those heels close to each other as we then bring the weight back. So a toe squat, really good way just to activate the feet, to stretch through the soles of the feet. And it's up to you. You can stay here. If that's absolute agony, stay forwards. Just keep the toes tucked. If it's okay, then we're going to come up. We're going to maybe balance the shoulders over the hips. over the feet. And here, this pose does take some stamina, a build-up of endurance here, because often it's just too much. So come out whenever you want. Otherwise, we're going to hold here for a few more seconds and just feel the action through the feet. So think about those heels, trying to draw them close to each other. They're probably not touching. We're spreading those toes, so make sure the little toe is touching the floor. It's nice and spread out, that it's not curled up or forgotten. Holding here. One more breath. And then we'll come forwards. So back to our hands and feet. Hands and knees, sorry. We're going to untuck the toes. And then the same thing, but this time, big toes together, flat front of the feet on the floor. Again, draw the heels together. So normally when we sit back on our heels, we let the heels drop out and we sit between the heels. But what can you do to reach back as your heels stay close, narrow? So the feet are essentially pointing straight backwards. And again, can you sit up? You'll find this puts a lot more pressure on the feet than if we let the heels drop out. If you did this in front of a mirror and you looked behind you, you'd probably see, and you might be able to see with me, there's one foot that will always, it won't be even, one will always drop out more than the other. Let's distract ourselves a little bit from this and inhale the arms up, exhale, bringing them down. Two more, inhale, reaching up, exhale, release, last one, inhale, reaching up, exhale, bring it forwards, give the feet a tap, tap it out. Good. So coming to some cat-cows, bringing the hands under the shoulders, knees under the hips, drawing the belly button in, pushing the hands into the floor, finding that breadth across the chest and across the upper back. As we inhale, reaching the chest forwards through the arms, maybe the gaze forwards. Exhale to round the spine, drop the chin to the chest, push the floor away, moving with your breath. So inhale, drawing the chest forwards, stretching through the belly. Exhale to round. Two more rounds. So find your rhythm. We're stretching through the spine, finding as much movement as we can. As we exhale, we're pushing the shoulder blades away from each other. And after your next exhale, let's come back to center, to our neutral cat. We're going to find bear pose. So we're going to tuck those toes under again. Feet and knees stay hip distance, knees under the hips. And as we inhale, lift the knees off the floor. Just hover, just a little bit. And it's tough. So this is going to activate the core, the shoulders. Holding here, another 2 breaths. Keep those knees hovering. Keep those arms pressing. Maybe a slight bend into those elbows. On your next exhale, dropping the knees. Going to untuck the toes. Now we're going to do that again. Toes pointing back. Maybe give them a quick check. And this time, we're going to do the same thing. Press the hands into the floor. Inhale. Lift those knees up. Now the tops of the feet are pressing. I find this one a lot tougher. You'll find the belly button, the core is instantly engaged in this pose. You'll find that belly button drawing up to the spine of its own accord. One more breath here, inhale. And then we'll exhale to release. All right, now we're going to do some weird movements with plank. Option to keep the knees down. So we're going to show this. This is all about the feet again and moving on to the sides of the feet. So we inhale here, all fours. And then as we exhale, we're going to lift the left knee, send the hips back to the right, come onto the side of that right foot. Inhale forwards. Exhale, lift the right knee, coming onto the side of the left foot. Push that weight back into the left. It's going to make more sense if you come up into plank with me. We inhale, plank, and then we exhale, bend the knees, turning onto the sides of both feet. Drop the hips back to the right. Inhale forwards, switch to the other side. Exhale, drop it back. So the hands are forwards. Lots of work for the core as well, but it's this kind of side plank in the feet where we're resting on the sides of both feet. So either the knees down or back and forth in our plank. So you decide, remember, knees down. It's this strange knee, one knee up, one knee down. So you go with whatever works for you. One more each side. Inhale, center, exhale, push it back. Finish your other side. Then we inhale back to either plank or all fours, and then step that right foot through. Drop the back knee, finding our lunge. Good. So maybe give the hips a little wiggle. So we're in our lunge, feeling that stretch through the front left thigh. And then from here, we'll inhale, coming up, placing the hands on that right thigh. We're going to walk the right foot back. Now, often I talk about this line of the knee over the ankle. We're going to break that rule today because we're going to look for this flexion of the ankle. So you might even want to walk your right foot forwards, back towards you even more. Inhale here, and then exhale. Let that knee come forwards as much as you can. Inhaling up. Exhale. So it's strange. We don't like this alignment a lot in yoga with the standing poses. Move with your breath. But it's actually a really useful movement in everyday life. And if you do enough of these, you will feel this through that shin, through the front of the foot. One more as we exhale, coming forwards, inhaling up. And now we'll bring the hands down. We're going to point that back foot behind us and then lift that back knee. The leg does not need to be straight. It can be bent. Just lift it off the floor. Press into that foot again. Inhale, exhale, release. All fours. And then stepping that left foot forwards again. Maybe walk it back towards you a little more than you normally would. And we'll inhale to come up, hands to thigh. So feeling that stretch through the front of the right hip. And then from here again, let's move with the breath. Inhale here. Exhale, lunging forwards, taking that knee beyond the ankle. Inhaling up. Exhale, lunging forwards, making sure that knee is going directly forwards. It's not falling in or out. That's the alignment we don't want. That's the important one. So move with your breath. Think about lengthening that tailbone down. So we're not just sinking the belly towards the thigh. Draw that belly button in. One more. And then we'll bring the hands down. And again, let's inhale, press into the back foot, the right foot, lifting that knee, maybe a lot, maybe a little. So this side, my foot, I don't have any metal work in my foot. So I'm much happier to kind of really press into the foot. The other side, I do find it challenging. So it's always interesting just to notice different sides of the body. Let's exhale, bring that knee down. Stepping back, all fours, tuck the toes, downward facing dog. Push those hips high. You can take your child's pose instead if you prefer. So we're pressing into the hands, bending that weight back up into the hips, tailbone reaching up to the sky. We're going to take a couple of breaths. Inhale to come to the toes, and exhale, we'll start to descend to heels. So as we inhale, coming all the way into the tiptoes, push the hips really high, exhale, keep the hips high, descending the heels. Inhale, onto the tippy toes, exhale, descending those heels. Last one, inhale, reach those hips high, Exhale, descend the heels towards the floor. They don't need to come all the way down. And then holding here, 2 breaths. You can always bend those knees. The last thing that we're going to do is we're going to try to lift the toes off the floor here. So the heels don't need to be down, just lift the toes, spread them wide, keep them lifted. And notice how that changes the down dog. It brings that lift through the front of the legs. And we need that lift through the front of the legs before we can get the extension down the back of the legs. Good. Looking forward, bending the knees. Let's walk the feet up to the hands. Keep the head low. Feet wide in hip distance. Knees bent. We're going to take a forward fold. So taking the second and third fingers and the thumb, grab the big toes, make a loop around the big toes. This is Baddhakonasana. So not our normal ragdoll fold. Let the gaze be back, behind you, between the legs. Back of the neck is long, and we can bend those knees as much as we like. Maybe the body's resting on the thighs. Give the head a shake. Give it a nod. And we're going to use these hands, these fingers that we've got wrapped around those big toes. We're going to pull up against the big toes, and we're going to push the big toes down into the fingers. So use that tension. The hands are working here, the feet are working, and we use that to bring more lift into the legs. And the hands can draw the front body closer to the legs. One more inhale and exhale. As we inhale, hands where they are, lengthen the spine, halfway lift. You can keep those knees bent. And then we're going to lift the feet up, take our hands and place them all the way under the feet. So try and get those toes up to the very base of the wrists. Baddhakonasana, this is called. Hasta is hand, Pada is foot. Asana just means a pose. So here, got our hands under our feet, and the focus should be on letting the back of the neck lengthen again. So gaze is behind you. Knees can be as bent as you need them to be. And we're going to focus on pushing down through the toes. So keep the heels on the floor. See how much weight you can bring forwards into the toes, pressing those hands down. Lovely counter pose for the wrists to all the down dogs and the cat cows we were doing. As we inhale, let's lift the chest, halfway lift, and exhale, take the hands out, hands to waist. Inhale, coming all the way up. And let's come to stand at the top of our mats. Some balance work now. So you knew we'd be doing this. The feet, one of the best way to work them is in our standing poses, our balance work. So we'll shift the weight into the left leg and inhale. The right knee in front of us. Hands come around the knee or the shin. One arm's length away, arms straight as we inhale. And then exhale. We're going to draw that knee in. Inhale. Knee floats away. Exhale. Drawing it in. Continue with your breath. Taking the focus to the standing leg. Can we just press the toes into the floor? Often they like to grip. You can see the toes turning white. How about if we try and release the gripping? Just focus on the toes pressing evenly. One more inhale and exhale, drawing that knee in. And now we're going to point and then flex the foot. So point and flex. Feeling how that works. The shin, the front of the shin, calf muscles. And then let's release there. Other sides, taking the weight into the right foot. Inhaling the left leg forwards. Wrapping the hands around the knee or the shin to arm's length. We inhale here. And we exhale, drawing that knee in, giving ourselves Little hug. Inhale to arm's length. So move with your breath. Again, think about those right toes, standing foot, not gripping, but releasing, letting the pressure come evenly through all the corners of the foot. One more inhale. And as we exhale, draw that leg in. And then we're pointing and flexing. Final standing pose, we're going to come and find our ledge. So ledge, hip height or below. So it might be the edge of a sofa or a radiator. I've got a table here that I'll use. And we'll take our right foot forwards here. So the left toes, just make sure they are pointing forwards. The foot is the rudder of the leg. It tells the leg where to go. Where the foot goes, the leg normally is following. So just be aware of that. Left toes pointing forwards, right toes pointing up. So these hips, nice and closed, pointing directly forwards. And here, taking the hands onto the hips, we're just going to experiment with pointing the toes and then flexing. Noticing what that does to the leg. So finding your right height. If it's too much for the hamstrings, it's good for the leg to be straight here. So come lower. If you're finding you can't get that leg straight, find a lower ledge. So noticing as we point, what's happening to that leg? As we flex, what happens? Bringing that right foot down, left foot forwards, finding the balance again. Maybe staying with a flexed foot to begin with. So lightly flexing the toes back towards you. And I don't know what you felt. What happens biologically is as we draw that toes back, it engages through the front of the leg and it extends through the back of the leg. Let's start to point, flex. So whenever we lift the toes off the floor in standing poses, like we did in our down dog, or flex the foot back towards us in poses like this, or when we're sitting, it's a really good way to activate the entire leg. When we point, it does the opposite. So it activates the back of the leg, it extends the front of the leg, and it shortens the back of the leg as well. So often we can find a better line. That's why dancers point their toes. The leg can look more straight when it's pointed. Let's release there. And then coming to sit down on our mats. Maybe grabbing your height again. So the final pose today for the feet is going to be Baddhakonasana, or feet together. This is our cobbler's pose. So drawing the feet in quite close to the hip, to the groins. Doesn't have to be right next to them. You give yourself a little bit of space. And from here, we've not done very much with the hips today to open the hips wide. So we're not going to come too far. But we are going to inhale to center. And then exhale, reach forwards with the chest. Feel the weight come into the sides of the feet. Inhale to center. Bring the hands behind. Fingers pointing towards the hips, leaning back, and then inhale, lift the chest, lift the hips, push into the sides of the feet. Exhale, release. Inhale, center. Exhale, walking the hands forwards a little, leaning forwards, leading with the chest. Inhale, center. Exhale, hands come behind, lean back, lift the chest. Inhale. Lift those hips, push into the sides of the feet. Exhale, release. Inhale, center. Exhale, reach it forwards just a little, not too much. Inhale, center. Last one. Hands behind as we exhale. Bend those elbows in, open the chest. Inhale to lift those hips. Keep the gaze forwards. Exhale, bringing those hips down. Walking the feet a little bit away Taking it into diamond. Now we're going to fold forwards and let the back round, taking the hands onto the feet. And here, I want you to think about taking the hands into the feet, thumbs into the soles of the feet, and trying to open the feet like a book. So some people can get the tops of the feet fully pressing down onto the floor. Well done if that's you, certainly not me. So you can let the upper body round. And this, again, think about the feet as a rudder for the legs. So this external rotation, the opening of the feet, it also brings with it an external rotation through the thigh, through the shins, the calves, and the thighs. So it actually helps us to find more openness in this pose. Let's inhale, coming up to sit and crossing the legs. Maybe taking a different cross to whatever you did naturally. Often we have our tendencies to do one thing all the time, same way. So finding a cross-legged position, shins crossing in the center. One last use for the feet. We're going to flex the feet here. So as we finish in our meditation, we're going to find this cross-leg position. And when we flex the feet, I'm going to encourage those legs to engage. You're going to feel a lot more drawn in. It's a more compact position, Sukhasana this is. And those flexed feet can make all the difference in really wakening those legs up, getting them to gather in. Now gently release the flex of the feet, but don't lose that hold you can feel in the thighs. Taking the hands onto the thighs. The palms can be up to lift the energy, or facing down, whichever you like. Softening the gaze to the floor. Maybe closing the eyes again. Taking the attention to the breath. Noticing how you feel at the end of your practice. Just take 3 deep inhales and exhales together. Let's inhale through the nose. Exhale, open the mouth, sigh it out. 2 more. Inhale, filling the lungs. Holding at the top. Exhale, sigh it out. Last one, inhale. Exhale. Blinking the eyes open. Hands to prayer. Bowing the head. And thank you, everyone. Apologies, we've gone a few minutes over. If you've got any questions, let me know. I hope you enjoyed feeling your feet today.